I want to talk about perspective and the incredibly powerful role it plays in our lives without our even knowing it. When I say perspective, what I'm referring to is that thing that stands between the world on the one hand and your experience of the world on the other. There's a filter. On a material level, this filter is composed of our eyes and ears and the neural pathways that make sense of the data they collect. On a mental level, there's a filter too. And it's composed of a set of beliefs we unconsciously harbor about the world and how it works. The tricky thing is that usually we're not aware of these beliefs. They're passed down to us through culture, and they get so deeply embedded in us that we assume the world we see through the filter of these beliefs is an accurate representation of the world as it is. But it's not. Let me give you an example from my own life. I'm a recovering perfectionist. For perfectionists, the unconscious belief that underpins the filter through which we experience reality says that anything short of near perfection equals failure. Not surprisingly, perfectionists are therefore doomed to failure, at least in their own eyes. This was certainly the case for me. I picked up perfectionism as a teenager, and over the years it drained my world of color. Life itself seemed nothing but a long series of tests I had to ace. And I got tired. So tired that by the age of 32, I knew I couldn't continue in this way. I had to drop those high expectations. And I did. But still, that stubborn, unconscious way of seeing myself as either all or nothing persisted. And I concluded that since I couldn't hack those high standards, it meant I was a failure. Now, to a non-perfectionist point of view, this did not resemble an accurate reading of the world. But to me, it most certainly did. And it was painful. Failure was the thing I had feared the most. But after the pain, I discovered there's something on the other side of failure, and it took me by complete surprise. There's freedom. You see, now that I was an admitted failure, the massive expectations I had placed on myself my whole life evaporated. I didn't have to try to be the best anymore. Instead, I could become anonymous. And as a result, my world was transformed. You see, by dropping the core belief that failure is something to be avoided at all costs, my perspective radically shifted. And that meant the world as I experienced it also radically shifted. Where before things seemed drab and gray, now the world showed in full color. Now that my ego was not at the forefront of my mind, the world looked beautiful. There were suddenly so many things I found myself feeling curious about and that I wanted to explore. And I could do so joyfully because failure had stopped being a stumbling block. I started to make art, and art itself became my vehicle for exploration. And I made it for myself alone. That was important because I also discovered that I never felt so wholly alive in my direct experience of the moment and the clarity of my thought, as I did when in the knowledge that no one was watching me or cared who I was. For me, that feeling of anonymity became synonymous with freedom. This was all happening in the spring of 2009, and it was a magical time for me. In March of that year, I had an experience with new technology that would form the basis for a video artwork called the Simultania Project. It happened when I had the chance to use Skype with the video function for the first time. My husband was away for work in Paris, and I was at home in Los Angeles. At some point during the Skype conversation, he pointed the webcam out of the window of the place he was staying to show me a view of the street below. And what I saw amazed me. There I was, morning time in Los Angeles, witnessing people in real time as they walked down an evening street some 5,000 miles away from me. I could hear the sounds of their voices and the hum of the cars as they passed. And in that moment, I had this sudden, visceral realization that what was happening in this pocket of a place on the other side of the world was every bit as real as what was happening there in my living room. And it left me stunned with wonder. Now, at this point, we can stop and say, wait, don't we know this already? Yes, of course we know things are happening in places where we're not. But I don't think we really know it. You see, what this experience did for me was to reveal yet another vastly more primal belief I never knew I had. And this belief says it cannot be possible for another person to be having an experience of reality that is anywhere near as vibrant, as all-encompassing, or indeed as real as mine is to me. And this belief is so deeply embedded in me that when I saw direct evidence to its contrary through this Skype experience, it left me baffled. It shattered the illusion that my reality is central. And this felt good. It felt like freedom all over again. The mini universe that is my consciousness and that I have no choice but to inhabit isn't all there is. There's all of this. And it goes on with or without me. So I felt inspired to make something that could capture what I had experienced. My idea was simple. I would build a website and ask people to take part in my project by filming their own first-person experiences of reality during the same 1-minute moment in time. To ensure that the videos could be accurately synced later, I asked participants to make a timestamp at the beginning of their videos. After the 1-minute moment, they were to upload the videos to me so that I could then go on to make a massive video installation that would play back all the simultaneous realities together and in perfect sync. And that's what we did. On Saturday, November 13th, 2010, the 1-minute moment was scheduled for 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific, 1600 GMT. In the moments before the minute was set to begin, I was at the beach in Venice, California, filming my own first-person perspective, which was this. As you can see, the minute's about to begin. So while I was experiencing this, here's what hundreds of others were experiencing alongside me. More than 300 people from 6 continents took part in Simultania. Still, the vast majority were from America and Europe, so my dream is to do it one last time in an effort to include people from all walks of life and all parts of the world. Simultania happened in 2010, and the magical time that inspired it the year before that. I know I'll always remember the spring of 2009 as one of the highlights of my life. Unfortunately, the intensity of that utter freedom, clarity, and joy has faded a bit as life has gone on. But Simultania is always there to remind me that perspective is malleable, that I don't have to be a prisoner to unconscious beliefs, that I am already free, and that it is simply a matter of perspective. Thank you.